We're going to be starting our study of play as a foundation for learning by looking at the past. We'll visit some educational celebrities, well, really theorists, whose names will be familiar to you, but our focus will be, of course, on what they have concluded concerning play. Even Plato had something to say about the value of play, but we'll start a little more recently than that. Friedrich Froebel is considered the father of kindergarten. His contributions are in these 4 areas. Learning, he compared children's growth to the growth of a plant, thus the name kindergarten, garden of children. Both his methodology and teacher training were planned and systematic. His curriculum involved learning through structured play. Froebel designed materials for the children to use and explore and create. He called them gifts, and they were the materials which maintained their shape. And occupations, and these were the materials that can be permanently altered, like cutting with paper. But basically, he espoused learning by doing. Here are a few of Froebel's gifts that are still available today. Here's gift number 2. It enables children to examine the properties of solid shapes. Froebel carefully designed the gifts and occupations to help children recognize and appreciate the common patterns and forms found in nature. You might recognize the center picture as Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water, who really employed the principles of Froebel. And I just added Froebel's tombstone because I thought it was kind of interesting. Let's move on to the 20th century. Like Froebel, Maria Montessori devoted her life to developing a system for educating children. She designed manipulative materials for children to explore. She viewed the children's active involvement with material as the primary means through which they absorb knowledge and learn. John Dewey thought that children should have the opportunity to engage in play associated with everyday activities, for example, the house, the grocery store, the doctor's office. Lev Vygotsky viewed the social interaction that occurs through play as essential to the children's development. Through play, the children learn social skills, such as cooperation and collaboration. Piaget believed that play is a means by which children construct knowledge of their world. Through active involvement, they learn about physical properties of objects, acquire logical mathematical knowledge like time, space, and number, and social knowledge like vocabulary and social behavior. In the early 1960s, Papert envisioned children using computers as instruments for learning and for enhancing creativity and innovation. As a constructionist, he viewed learning as an active process where knowledge is constructed through doing and making. Thus, he felt that students should be encouraged to create and experiment with objects and materials whenever possible. As we look at the 21st century, rather than solely emphasizing individual theorists, I've chosen to emphasize groups or organizations who have conducted scholarly research and written positions which either reinforce the concept of learning through play or question or even contradict some of the practices that we have in place in education today. The High Scope Educational Research Foundation is a nonprofit organization that sponsors and supports the high-scope educational approach. This approach offers children an environment that facilitates active involvement. Sue Brandekamp, a former chair of the board, noted that play is the best preparation for school success. And to the contrary, early academics impose expectations that result in stress and passivity toward learning. As an educator, you are no doubt familiar with NAEYC, the National Association for the Education of Young Children, the group that sets standards for educating young children. NAEYC often refers to play in their position statements. Here are a couple worth mentioning, which cover many important areas of child development. If I don't give you enough time to read it, just pause. And so, as you can see, child development experts, researchers, professionals, as well as anyone who seriously observes children, would differ with the Oxford Dictionary's definition of play, where it states that the activities are strictly for enjoyment and recreation and have no serious or practical purpose. Play can support children's learning in almost every content area and definitely in every area of development.